Hello everybody. Today I'm going to talk about a really sensitive subject. I may get in trouble for it. Many of you may unfriend me, un-YouTube me, whatever you do to get rid of somebody that annoys you and bothers you. And that's okay. I guess I'm alright with that, although hate to lose friends over a simple argument. But you've all heard of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, right? I don't know much about it. I remember back when I was a kid, they would go to the theaters, and people would go to theaters at midnight, 1 in the morning, and watch it. And sometimes they do Rocky Horror marathons, and I think it's still going on today. I've never been a big horror show, horror movie buff. My response when I was a kid, 17, 18, 19 years old, sitting and watching those movies was just to hysterically laugh. It was so far beyond reality, and it kind of triggered something in my brain, and I just laughed till I cried. When zombies would sit there eating the bodies of other zombies, all that kind of garbage. And it was just sick. That last movie, Zombieland, was kind of cute, kind of funny. Woody Harrelson and that other guy, and I laughed my way through that. Wasn't too scary, right? Pretty funny. But the Rocky Horror Picture Show has almost become like a cult in our modern society, and maybe in the world, I don't know. But we have a Christian version of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Now I'm going to step on your toes. Our Christian version of the Rocky Horror Picture Shows happens all over this world and all over this country. And it's when anybody starts talking about the end times, and they start talking about the mark of the beast and the little chip you're going to get in your hand, and when Jesus is going to rapture the church, and we're going to rip up out of our seats, and we're going to be gone, and airplanes are going to crash, and trains are going to derail, and cars are going to smash. And you've all heard it because you've read that Jerry Jenkins and Tim LaHaye. You've seen their whole series of Left Behind books. Great fiction. Great fiction. And the reason I'm calling this, I guess, don't get mad at me, but the reason I'm calling this the Christian version of a Rocky Horror Picture Show is I find it real difficult sometimes. Because I think what we Christians like to do is we get into the idea of, oh, God's going to burn all the pagans and all the unbelievers and all the Muslims and all the Hindus and all the atheists, and He's going to fry them, man. It's going to be great, and the whole world is going to be burned up because everybody's so evil and so full of sin, and there's so much darkness, and we'll be so glad to be out of here, and we won't have to worry about that anymore. And it's almost like the true end times in the Bible. The real end of the world is going to be more like a horror movie than it is like anything, any kind of a engaging, captivating novel series we can read. And the fact is, many of your friends and many of my friends who don't believe in this book and who don't love the Lord Jesus Christ with all their heart and who don't understand Him and haven't given their lives to Him are going to suffer incredibly when that time does come. Now, I don't agree with, I probably don't agree with your eschatology. Eschatology is a big word for, the sequence of events and the end of the world. 2012's on, pay-per-view right now. Oh, yeah, whatever. But, the Aztec calendar wasn't right anyway. The world's not going to really end in 2012. That was a screw-up. A little scary screw-up, but it was a screw-up. But I just want you to think about something. Please, think with me and pray with me about this. And just consider this. That if we Christians would take about half the amount of time that we spend looking at, oh God, there's the 365 days, and there's the 3.5 years, and the tribulation starts on August 8th, 19, blah, blah, blah. I mean, if we spent about half the time we get so wrapped up in end-time theology and focused on trying to go next door and win our neighbor who doesn't know the Lord and who's going to die and go to hell. And if we spend time trying to win him and win him to the gospel, and we spend time trying to love other people and go feed the sick or feed the hungry. Sick are probably hungry too. Feed the hungry first. And we go try to help poor people. And we go try to be the hands and the feet of Jesus in this world now in 2011. And forget about what happens in the future. Let the future take care of itself. If you're loving Jesus and if you're living your life for Jesus Christ, and He splits the skies and raptures the church, if you believe in the rapture, or splits the skies and comes back for His bride, and there's a giant army of believers at that time, I don't care what your theory is. It's all right there in Daniel, Revelation, you name it, 1 Thessalonians, 2 whatever. You've read the Bible probably. We can get all kinds of theories, but we can't get wrapped up in those theories. If we would take half that time and just love people we would be bringing a lot more people with. You'd be taking a lot more friends and a lot more family members and a lot more people with you when the time finally comes. Maybe it won't be the time that finally comes. Maybe if we'd stop getting so wrapped up in the Christian horror picture show about, well, when are the pagans going to get burned, Pastor? And start thinking, you know what? How can I save the world? How can I, with all my heart and my energy, go minister to others that need help? Because you know what? You never know if the guy you're talking to in the bus station or the little old lady you're sitting down talking to in the doctor's office, and you witness to them and you think about their salvation and you think about their pain and their suffering and their struggles in life, and you bring them closer. And I don't mean convert them right on the spot, but invite them to church or bring them closer to the gospel. You may bring them to a knowledge of salvation, and they may have been ready to die the next day. And the next day they're separated from God for eternity. So I just urge you, and I know some of you are going to disagree with my theology, and if so, forgive me. Grab a stapler and throw it at me. Well, no, go ahead, it'll break your computer screen, but don't really throw it at me. But I'm just saying, please consider what I'm saying, that Jesus Christ called us to be His hands and His feet, to love other people, to heal the afflicted, to bind up the brokenhearted, to be everything we can be to help other people. Now, that doesn't mean we don't get frustrated and angry and stressed, but we need to live to help others with our lives. And we need to get out of the Rocky Horror, Christian horror picture show where we're always wrapped up in, end times everything, and this is the day of this, and this is the mark of the beast, and this is what the beast's 10 heads and 7 horns are going to look like, and this is when it's going to happen. And guys, maybe not. Who cares? What we need to worry about is whether your brother and your sister, or your mother and your father, or your son or your daughter, or your best buddy, or your best friend, or your girlfriends you go and party with and have fun with and hang out with, are going to heaven or not, and have a relationship with Jesus Christ in such a way that He fills their needs and blesses them. That's what we need to worry about. Now that I've offended everybody that really likes end times eschatology and theology, have a nice day, have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.